and welcome. The concept of this video is simple. I am going to be watching a movie I've never seen before, and what I do is I watch the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then I try to predict the end. That's right, 15 minutes of the movie, and then I try to predict the ending. Today's movie is Scream. It's technically Scream 5, but for reasons unknown or reasons I don't know, they have decided to call this movie Scream. So for forevermore, people can become confused when people talk about the movie Scream because someone will have to ask, do you mean the first one or the fifth one? I don't understand why you wouldn't just name it Scream 5 since you named the other ones Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4. But what do I know? I don't make movies. This one does once again have the returning cast of Dewey, Gale, and Sidney Prescott. It's okay. So it has been a long while. I can't even remember the last time I've seen a Scream movie, but I have seen all of them in the past. So I will try to use my knowledge of seeing the others to help predict what I can for this one. I will probably try to predict the rest of the movie in my predictions. However, the one that matters is the ending. I have to try to predict the end and see if I can do it correctly. I will read the movie summary here. It says, when a new killer resurrects the Ghostface mask, only the original survivors, Sidney Prescott, former Sheriff Dewey Riley, and reporter Gale Weathers, can stop the kill count when everyone is a suspect. Well, from that description, it sure sounds like the plot to every Scream movie ever. It's always the same dang thing. It would seem the movie makers can't be creative, and neither can the killer. Instead of being their own killer, they're like, oh, I'll just be Ghostface? Really? Alright. Fifth time's the charm. I am going to go ahead and watch the first 15 minutes of the movie. And when that 15 minutes is finished, I will come back to talk to you guys. Be right back.
It Follows, ask me about Hereditary, ask me about The Witch.
In the first Stab movie, what Woodsboro native was introduced as the franchise's main character? I'm afraid someone's gotta die now.
No, Amber, I'm coming. You don't have to check on me all the time. I'm not breakable.
Yeah, this I know.
That was Sin.
She's coming?
He wants me to accept his Find My Fam request.
It's the smartest option with a would-be killer on the loose.
It's Mindy. There wasn't a first killing. Tara's alive.
I mean, she could still die.
What the fuck?
Or the killer could come back for her.
Fuck, Mindy, come on.
He's been stalking my Instagram the last couple weeks, posting the creepiest shit.
Probably time to introduce him to Hobbs and Shaw.
Welcome back. Okay, I have just watched the first 15 minutes of the movie. Saw an opening very, very similar to the first opening, bar some technology like locking your house up with a phone app and having a smartphone, that kind of thing. Tara is a high school student who falls victim to a killer. It looks like there are two killers. One of them was watching someone she knew, and the other was at her house. She is not the brightest, so she gets hurt. Shockingly doesn't die, all things considered. She's too dumb to be a suspect, so we're not gonna put her there. She's just a victim. She's there to bring another character, Sam, into the mix. Sam is Tara's sister. They seem to have a strained relationship, but despite that, she cares when she hears about her sister being attacked. Wearing a Ghostface mask, because these killers have no originality. They all just want to copy the real-life killer Ghostface and the Stab movie killer Ghostface. I forgot how self-referential and how sort of parodying these movies are when it comes to horror movies, where they're just listing off these highbrow horror movies like Hereditary. All that they are is they're just not simple slasher or haunted house horror movies. They tend to have a deeper message. They're not really more intelligent. Not really, but I guess. They're more intelligent in that it's not just some dude going around a camp killing everybody. Okay. On the phone, he quizzes her about this first Stab movie, which is basically the first Scream movie. It was kind of fun when she looked up on her phone to get an answer, and it showed the cast list for the Stab movie. Like, I still kind of remember Luke Wilson playing Billy Loomis for like a brief clip they showed of the first Stab movie, and it's hilarious. If you have not seen some of these Scream movies, they're good for at least a one-time watch. They're fun. In case you're wondering, because I said before I've seen all 4 movies before this one, I would say I liked the first one the best, then the third one, then the second one, and then the fourth one. Going off of that, this one I'll probably like even less than 4, but we'll see. It's still early, and it's kind of a copy of the first movie so far, so I can't really say I have an opinion yet. It's just the same movie almost, except less scary because the girls are really friggin' stupid. I specifically chose certain scenes so that you could see how dumb this girl is. Alright, let's go through the characters then. We already discussed Tara, the dumb girl from the opening, then her sister, Sam, who is the one at the bowling alley. She is with her boyfriend, Richie. And then we go to the high school in Woodsboro, California. The same high school way back when that Sidney Prescott and all her friends went to in the first movie. And we meet the new cast of characters, the teenage fodder. We have Amber, Mindy, Chad. Mindy and Chad are brother and sister. Chad is a jock. Mindy is into the killings and really insensitive. There's always that one character who's too into it and an a-hole because of it. Liv is Chad's girlfriend. Wes is the sheriff's kid. The sheriff now is Sheriff Hicks. She was the weird cop that worked with Dewey in the last movie. And the last character we've met is Vince, who is creepy guy. Of course, we're gonna get Sidney Prescott, Dewey, and Gale. However, they're not suspects because there's no way they would do it. So they can be taken out of suspicion because I'm guessing the ending. So I have to guess the killer or killers. I think there are 2 killers. Not just because of the possibility that there was someone at someone else's house and then someone at her house, but also because the first movie had 2 killers. Well, all of them 2 killers, because it's easier to go around tricking people into thinking it's not one person by having the other person do things, and it's easier to kill a person and have control of the situation when you're trying to do this whole theatrical way of killing people, at least in this universe, in these movies. So I'm saying there's 2 killers, so I have to guess. Who are the killers? Who lives and who dies as well will be in the running. So I'm going to guess who the killers are, who lives and who dies, and the general wrap-up of the ending. How does the movie end? 3 things. I am going to say, let's go in order for easiest. I know next to nothing about I've definitely set a task ahead for myself with only watching 15 minutes. I don't know these people at all yet, since we barely got a scene with them. And some of them not even a real scene. So I know nothing. But there's the fun, I suppose. We have Tara. I think she will end up dead. The killer will come back for her and finish the job. I think Sam will sort of have a role similar to Sidney, and she will survive and unmask the killer, or the killer will unmask themselves. A strong contender for one of them is Richie, her boyfriend, since he has a connection to the sister. And, okay, I'll admit, I think since I know nothing about these people, I'm also going to kind of narrow it down to the guys I recognize. And I could be completely off base, but I'm going to do it. So I am saying Richie is one of the killers. Probably the attacker in the house. Then we have the sheriff's son, who I think is the other killer, Wes. And no, it's not just because of his name, but because I recognize him. I recognize him, his actor, and Richie's actor from different shows and movies. I'm saying it's Richie and Wes. And I am saying Tara dies, Sam survives. Wes and Richie die. Sydney, Dewey, Gale will survive. I think Dewey will get injured like he always does in every single movie, but he'll survive. Sydney will probably get injured like she usually does, but will survive. Gil should be okay. The other people we have, so let's go with Chad, the jock, he's gonna die. Mindy, the sister, I think she will survive. I think she will get hurt, but she'll survive. She'll be the character that kind of has the smarts. Liv will die. Amber will die. And Vince will survive. And maybe even come out being somewhat of a helpful person rather than just the seemingly creepy guy that everyone seems to see him as. He'll prove himself, or he'll just die too. It's one of those things. It's like, well, you could be absolutely nobody but fodder, or you could be a hero, sort of. Sheriff Hicks could die. To recap, motivations are going to be some elaborate roundabout thing, as they usually are. I'm going to go with Wes because he's a sheriff's kid, heard about all that crap, got into it, and Richie because they somehow connected Sam's boyfriend. Third and final thing is how the movie wraps up. I think it'll end with a sort of final moment where Sam and Sydney and Gale and Dewey all somewhat work together to save the day. And maybe Vince. Like I said, with Vince, he's one of those people who could just be a nobody who gets taken out quick. Or he'll be like I have predicted. He'll help out and survive. The ending will have these people surviving to the end along with Mindy. But I don't think Mindy will be there at the end. I think it's mainly going to be the original three. Sydney, Dewey, Gale. And the newcomer, Sam, avenging her sister, just trying to survive and not get her knifed to death by a couple of psychos. It'll probably end in a house as usual. Hopefully not, but usually there's a party. And it will end with Sydney, Gale, and Dewey essentially being like, I am so done with this shit. Theoretically, they will be. Perhaps this will be their final movie. And the survivor, Sam, Mindy, maybe Vince, we probably won't see them again. I feel like they might try to, though, have a new core cast if the old cast is truly leaving, since usually the previous installments use those characters to kind of bring it all together as a Scream movie. So I'll say it ends on a sad but happier note. The three will be finally out of this crap. Well, I don't know if it'll ever be happy because they have to once again be like, oh goody, another person who decided to be Ghostface. Lovely. Maybe I'm vastly overestimating how many people are gonna die, but maybe I'm not. These are my predictions. There are 3 predictions. Prediction 1, who are the killers? Prediction 2, who lives and who dies? Prediction 3, how does the movie wrap up? Final scene is set in a house. Probable party. 3 core members from the previous movies will survive. Dewey will be injured. Sam will survive. Vince will survive. Mindy will survive. Although I think Mindy may get hurt. Alright, I will go and watch the rest of the movie and return to see whether I was right or wrong. Remember, with my predictions, what matters first and foremost is predicting the ending. That is my main goal. I watch 15 minutes of the movie and try to guess the end. The other 2 predictions I have come up with still are fun, still something to guess, but what matters is, did I get the ending correct? Okay, I have just finished the movie. This is my opinion, but it's not a good movie. An hour in, I really wanted to just end. It was kind of painful to get through. Lots of things just eye-rolling and not making sense, and with the reveals, one of them in particular doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Alright, let's get to it. Prediction 1. Who are the killers? I got 1 out of 2. One of the killers was indeed the sister's boyfriend, Richie, who is one of the people I recognized. So I just assumed, okay, down to the guys I recognized, so them. Also, I was sure I was correct for a couple reasons while watching. One of the reasons was his claim that he didn't really know anything about Stab, which in this universe, basically everyone knows about it. And even then, the way he immediately started watching it while in the hospital with the sister that survived and continuing to watch it and comment about it later gave off vibes of, okay, yeah, not a great guy. Then there's another scene where the killer attacks him in a manner that just incapacitates him, which you could go, well, that wasn't the primary target, so it could still not be him. But I immediately was like, okay, yeah, it's him. He's the other one. And sure enough. Then the other one I was not correct about, mostly because this person doesn't. I should lay out for one thing. The movie is harder to predict because it is not what I thought the movie was going to be. When I made my predictions after watching the first 15 minutes, I thought we were getting our characters. We had a whole group of teenagers. People you would think would be in it aren't really in it a whole lot. It's almost entirely about the sisters and the returning three. And the friends are they're in one scene in the first 15 minutes, and then they're in one scene in the middle, and then they're in the one ending part of the movie, which there was a party. Yeah, they managed. I said there'd be a party right at the end. Yeah, there was a party, and they're all there. It's Amber, who, well, her personality is essentially that she's just kind of pretends to care, but is a bitch. And it turns out she really was pretending to care and was a bitch because she's one of the killers. I just thought that was her personality, bitchy. But it was bitchy because she's faking it. Oh, every time she pretended to care about the sister who is her supposed best friend, I don't know, it always felt like she was pretending. Unless the actress just isn't good at pretending to care. It was too obvious for me. So even when I was watching, I still didn't guess her because there's no way it's a woman under the costume. The other reason why it's just silly is the motivations are lame. These two just met online. They're Stab fans of those fake Scream movies that are in the Scream universe. And they just decided to give movie makers new ideas by reinventing the first movie. It's so painfully bad. Look, this isn't the worst movie I've ever seen. I do think it's the worst Scream movie I've ever seen. I'm sure plenty of people won't agree with me, but that's my opinion. This one is one I'll never watch again. I just did not like it at all. Nah. This one's trash. This one's trying to be too cool. It's too obvious who it is, and I don't care about the sisters who are supposed to be the main characters. I don't even really care about the returning characters because they don't get a whole lot to do until the very end. Dewey is killed in a really dumb way. They got the killer down. They were free and clear, and instead of any of them, there was a group of people there, any of them removing the mask immediately like any sane person would do, they all just run for it. Dewey at the last second is like, I need to make sure with a headshot that this person's dead, because otherwise they always come back, and then he gets killed because they gave the killer time to be like, oh, I'm up, I got this guy. It's so stupid. Killers are Amber and Richie. I was right about Richie. I was wrong about Amber. I thought it was going to be Wes, who is the sheriff's kid. Prediction 2, who lives and who dies. Almost entirely right on this one. Okay, we have the sister who was the victim at the beginning. She shouldn't have survived, but she does. She survives the movie. Sam survives, her sister, as I predicted. She is the main girl. We have Dewey, who dies, and I predicted he would live, so I was wrong about that. Then we have Gail and Sydney, and they both live. We have Chad, the jock. He's another one who I'm pretty sure should be dead, but he somehow survives. Mindy, injured but survives, as I predicted, so I was right about that one. Wrong about Chad, right about Mindy. His girlfriend Liv dies, as I predicted. Sheriff Hicks dies, as I predicted. Her son Wes dies, as I technically predicted, but I predicted he would die as one of the killers. So half right, half wrong with that one. And one of my biggest hang-ups with this movie is it's not scary at all. I don't think there's any moment where I thought it was tense. And one of the main points to illustrate that is the house where Wes is. They keep playing up music every time he opens and then shuts a door, like the fridge or the door to his bedroom, as if, ooh, someone could be behind it. Oh, there's no one there. There's never anybody there. It's the weirdest thing. I have no idea what they were trying to do. I didn't expect there to be anyone there, and there was no one there. And I was just confused. It was weird. The guy who was barely in it, which was Vince. And with him, I'm sort of right, but sort of wrong because I didn't really take a stance on it. I said Vince would either be a guy who is barely in it and gets killed off immediately, which is what happens. But I also made room to say, or he could be someone who could become a hero at the end. I thought he would be a suspect. He would be a perfect guy to be a suspect to then flip on his head and be like, oh, he's actually a pretty cool guy. I forgot what kind of movie I'm watching, I guess. That might have been a different horror movie. Okay, so that is everybody. Then we move into the final prediction, which was how does the movie end? The movie ends essentially how I thought it would end, where there's a party, the killers are there, they're killing people, and there's a final showdown with the main girl, the main sister, Sydney, and Gale. And the only thing I was wrong about was there's no Dewey since he's dead, and the sister who I thought would be dead ended up playing a small role in all of that. Oh, and they expected us to care, but I really didn't. They are constantly trying to make everybody be related to somebody that was in the first movie. It's bizarre and stupid as hell. So, the sister, the main sister, yeah, Billy is somehow her father. I don't know. He somehow had time in high school to knock up some other chick who was in love with him. He became a serial killer and died, but fine, whatever. We're gonna go with it. And the main sister is mentally ill, but she's crazy. Okay? She keeps seeing her father. They really want to hammer in that Billy, one of the killers from the first movie, was her father. So she sees him everywhere, which I'm not sure. I suppose there were probably pictures, so she could know what he looks like. Yeah, it was a weird choice. I'm not sure what they were trying to say. And then along with that, we had the twins, Mindy and Chad, are the children of Randy's sister. So Randy is their uncle. Randy is the guy. Then we have one of the killers, Amber, lives in Stu's house, who is the other killer. Billy and Stu were the killers in the first one. It was Stu's house where there was a party at the end of the first movie where they unmask themselves and everything. And basically the two killers at the house want to kill them in the kitchen where Stu and Billy were going to kill Sydney. Some family moved in. Some chick who lived there got obsessed with it because she lived in the house and decided to also become a serial killer. And happened to meet a guy online who also wanted to help her be It's so stupid. It's so bad. If you like it, that's so fine. Enjoy. How does the movie end? It does end how I thought it would, with a party, the typical reveal of the two killers, Sydney and Gale and them, and the main sister winning out over the killers dying. Somewhat optimistic, happy ending. Although I didn't get the moment I expected where the two would be like, I am so done with this shit. No, Gale's going to write a book about Dewey since he's dead, which I couldn't have predicted since I didn't think he would die. It was the kind of ending I thought it would be, where it's somewhat uplifting, but really friggin' depressing. My predictions, yes, I correctly guessed the ending to this movie. Where my prediction becomes wrong is that I got one of two killers incorrect, and I got 3 of the deaths and survivals incorrect as well. But everything else is right. That's the movie. Scream 2022. So there we have it. Tell me in the comments, did you like the film? Did you not? Did you know who the killers were? What clued you in? And if you didn't know, tell me your experience. I'd also like to hear in the comments your ranking of the 5 Scream movies from number 1 to last, in that order. Which one do you like best? Number 1 on down. I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching, and remember to stay entertained.